Hi everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Forbes Flash. Thanks for joining us. If you're a soccer fan, you probably know the name Christian Pulisic, but if you don't, know this. He's just become the most expensive American player in history, signing to join Chelsea next season for a transfer fee of $73.1 million. The 20-year-old USMNT international joined Dortmund's youth setup in 2015 and quickly became one of Europe's hottest prospects. It's no surprise that he's leaving Dortmund, but going to Chelsea, and for such a high price tag, is especially interesting. Pulisic could be a big draw for American fans eager to watch the country's most exciting prospect in the world's biggest league. The founder of Jimmy John's is an in-your-face guy named Jimmy John Leotoad, who built his sandwich empire into a chain valued at approximately $3 billion. Leotoad opened the first sandwich store 35 years ago, growing it up to more than $2 billion in sales, with 2,802 locations. But Jimmy John is no longer in charge. He passed the show over to Atlanta private equity firm Roark Capital in 2016. Now, the founder's in charge of food and culture, a role the billionaire seems to take in stride. And without the daily stresses of running a massive chain, he can focus on his larger-than-life lifestyle, like enjoying his $2.2 million black Ferrari or traveling around on his 200-foot yacht. As long as Jimmy John's continues to entice new franchisees, life will continue to be good for the billionaire and his new boss. Here's a few stories you might have missed this past week. Tesla announced an across-the-board $2,000 price cut on all its models this week, in a move to help offset a reduction in the federal tax credit U.S. consumers get for buying its vehicles. The company reported its best-ever quarterly production and sales volume, but is still stuck behind the 5,000 per week output rate for the critical Model 3 sedan. Tesla has struggled to achieve their production goals as set by CEO Elon Musk in 2018, but appears optimistic going into the new year. Quote, Tesla's achievements in 2018 likely represent the biggest single-year growth in the history of the automotive industry. Epic Games, the maker of Fornite, made $3 billion in profits in 2018. That's an impressive number considering the game is free to play. That's because users are shelling out for $10 battle passes and cosmetics. The game has been so successful for being addictive and fun, but can its creators keep that up going into 2019? If they can, looks like the billions will keep rolling in. China made history this week, becoming the first nation to ever land on the far side of the moon. Their Chang'e 4 lander touched down near a region called the South Pole Aitken Basin, a move that demonstrates the country's rapidly growing spaceflight abilities. A rover weighing around 310 pounds will make its way onto the surface via a ramp and send information back to Earth using cameras and a ground-penetrating radar. It's hoped that exploring this region could give us fascinating insight into the moon's history. Venture capitalist Masha Drakova has launched her $30 million firm, Day One Ventures, bringing together investment in startups with resources to lead marketing and communications. It's unique enough that the 29-year-old who was named to our 30 Under 30 list this year is a rare female founder in the VC industry. But her background is what often gets discussed first. Drakova used to lead Russian patriotic youth movement Nashi. She left the pro-Putin group in 2010, and despite continued interest in her background, isn't interested in what the public thinks about her history. Quote, I have very simple rules for life, she says. One of the rules is to never do what you don't want to. Admit it, you've dreamt of quitting your job and traveling the world. If that feels impossible, what about moving to a place where living is so affordable that you might not have to work? Looking at cost of living, climate, healthcare, and opportunity, here are a few places you might want to retire to, no matter how old you are. Panama has the most appeal, as the infrastructure is strong, medical care is low cost and high quality, and it's easy to fly in and out of. The weather doesn't hurt either. And most importantly, Panama is actively wooing foreigners with tax breaks and other incentives. A little bit down the list is Malaysia, home to great public transportation and a great base for exploring Asia. You can enjoy arts and culture, history and nature for a comfortable cost of living. If it feels too daunting to pick up and move abroad, don't worry, there's always next year. Apple has lowered revenue guidance from $93 billion to $84 billion ahead of its end-of-the-month earnings call. A lot of that is due to weak iPhone demand. Let's talk about why. Apple has built a brand with almost cult-like loyalty, but even a dedicated consumer base needs innovation. That's where Apple's problem lies. They haven't out-innovated their competition in the Android ecosystem, nor are their phones price competitive. So, low demand for the iPhone XR, XS, and XS Max isn't surprising, and Cupertino cutting production volume in forecasts and responses could have been predicted. So what can Tim Cook do? A good start is bringing as much production as possible in-house, making sure to nurture that brand loyalty at all costs. Thanks for joining us. Share your feedback using #ForbesFlash, and we'll see you next week. Tune in every Friday morning, same time, same place.